Kathy Vick, deeply awake. And wow, has there been an upgrade? I just spent about an hour talking about it, and at the end of it, I got so choked. My throat got real scratchy. I couldn't stop coughing out of the blue. And the message was that, okay, well, it was really good to get all that out. It needed to happen. Now I can get down to work. And truly, I mean, this was a big, big, big day. And I was led through the numbers, and the harmonics really are beautiful. But a lot of change today. 10, which is a binary one, it's a 1 and a 0. So it's the male and the female. It's the action and the thought, holding hands and walking along. 5 in the middle, which is change. It's unstable. It is alchemy. It's a big deal, but it's not a fun number. It's never been a fun number for me. And 12, which is 16 plus 12. Right? And 16 is a 7. It's divinity. Shorthand. And a 12 is to me unspeakably holy. I don't talk about the 12. I don't describe the 12. And you put that together and it's 18, which is a 9, which you can consider like completion, mastery, whatever. So it's kind of pretty, huh? It's not like hold the phone stunning, but it is pretty. It tells a tale. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about, is telling a tale. What you've witnessed the last 6 years is me explaining what was happening, and watching me sort of limp along sometimes as I tried to make sense of it all. Knowing that, you know, if you get a big hit of light, or you get huge insights, and you get resets in the way that you feel and think and talk and know, and then have trouble again, have conflict again, get disabled in your thinking again. What the heck is going on? And so for me, there was a lot of shadow work, and what it finally got down to was dealing with my basic resistance. And I thought to myself, yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of resistant people around me. I sure don't like that. Then I was driving on a highway and going on a flyover and realized, oh, I think I need to deal with this one resistance of mine. I never wanted to be here. I've been saying that since the beginning. And I've been, you know, saying it, acting it out, escaping whenever possible. I didn't want to be here. What more fundamental resistance is there than that? Do you like it when you're having dinner with someone who would rather not be there? Do you like it when your doctor is looking, you know, down your throat or in your eyes, and he would rather not be there? How inauthentic is that? So yeah, I had to deal with my own resistance. How does resistance become self-aware? Well, I guess it's the way that we all become self-aware. We realize that our story has value and merit. It is miraculous. Against all the odds, It's heartbreaking and it's beautiful. It's lyrical. And maybe maybe you feel disappointed when you look at it. And maybe you feel like you failed. But if you're looking at it, you haven't failed. You had an experience. And you can't fail having an experience. You can only decide that an experience is bad or good and then judge it accordingly. But that's sort of part of what I've come to understand. As I have done this work, I've worked very specifically with releasing a lot with light and working with light in ways I had never thought possible. And so it's been very, very helpful in expanding the operating structure and getting comfortable with what's going on here. Because, along with the dropping of resistance, that fundamental, hey, I'd rather not be here kind of thing is seen for what it is. It was a pain cry. It was a pain cry of someone who felt really alone and scared. And so much of this has been about just inhabiting every moment of my existence with this light. Visiting myself, knowing in every moment this bigger I was there. And making that a conscious thing. And I really love that I've been able to go into all the nooks and crannies and to just like soaking the entire film can in light rather than needing every frame to play before it gets light. Just lighting it up. And the main character understanding that she was never alone. Ever. I wouldn't have let that happen. No. And I don't even know at this point who is doing the talking. All I know is that I've done the meditation and I have seen the light and I know that I'm not alone anymore. And I once was. The work with the Oversoul level was as altering and as it was just as easy as pie. I was laying in my bed in the morning, and all of a sudden it just like it was clear in just a really sparkling, clear, obvious way that it's true. There's an Oversoul, and there are people in my life who are part of this Oversoul, and I've been interacting with them, thinking that they're my enemy, or thinking that they're not my advocate, or thinking that they're my friend, and then they do me the dirty or whatever. And it's been the same Oversoul, having an experience. And then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on, that's not right, because I know Sam is part of this, because I feel that gong with him that I feel with others who I know are like really connected to me. I said, I don't want the experience where I feel melded to him. I want I don't want that experience. And they said, no, you don't understand. Everyone has their own soul. Everyone has their own soul. Everyone has their own responsibilities and rights and expression and desires and histories and deep akashas. Everyone has their own soul, their own trajectory. But it's one expression. Of a unified field of expression. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been the same. Same as when I've been working with the light, and I did a huge release. I realized that looking with the QHHT, that all this really comes down to, when there are entity attachments and thought form attachments and any kind of attachment that we are unaware of, but they're affecting us physically and in many other ways. And they were carrying our water for a while. They really were. But how much more conflict and stuff like that do we need? So each of these entities in QHHT sessions get sent home by realizing they've got a light inside their heart. And wow, when Azazel was with someone, I know a thing or two about that kind of close walk. And it was about to leave, and it knew what time it was. It knew its purpose, and and what Alba Weinman was able to do with Azazel. And the light was always there. It's gone out. No, can't go out. They won't let me in. Oh, yeah. I know that's how you feel. Keep looking at that light. And even Azazel, who didn't want to meet Archangel Michael, in the end, they clasped hands and went home. Back to the light. Back home. So I realized, here's the deal. After all this clearing, after all this work, and I'm still getting disabled, I could think of no other explanation. I've done a butt-ton of work. On every level, even energetically, so much meditative work the last 6 months. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There is still something there. I could see it sometimes like a shadow. Could hear it in my visual verbalizations. I could it was there. And so I went to a place that I have made into a temple and built the energy up. And in water, I lit up like the sun. Everybody got to go home, including me. No more attachments. No more thought forms. No more shadows. I am light. So, that was about 2 weeks ago, and I have not been the same ever since. What's available to me now is much different than what was available to me 2 weeks ago. Excuse me. And now I see that what I had been talking about the whole time, but didn't really connect with me, I don't know why, that's all happening now. And I don't really have to worry about what I'm going to do next. It's inappropriate to worry. And, I'm not, I'm really not in charge here. Not my will, but thine be done. So, and I had that experience tonight. I was a conduit. I didn't know why I was where I was at. I didn't know why I was saying what I was saying. I didn't know why I did what I did. I don't know why I was with the person I was with. All I know is that there was a healing that happened tonight. And I'm not to know anything more than that. But from that experience, I know it is no longer appropriate for me to be critical of my consciousness or my behavior. It is upon me to be conscious in this moment now, and to be in agreement with what I'm doing, saying, feeling, thinking, at the very, very least. Because from there, all things are possible. And so for me, it's been like moving from this very easily disabled kind of thing. I was just working through my stuff. And that's sort of passing away, where I just don't feel quite as tugged by things that used to really trigger me. And I have to say, appropriately so. Appropriately so. It was a valid experience to feel as I felt, to behave as I behaved. And all behavior is meaningful. But to limit my experience to just my experience within a social context is not appropriate. And so I really got a chance to see with a bigger perspective the benevolent nature of this, and why it is that this is benevolent as it is. And through seeing I don't want to be like enmeshed with my son, that's so gross. I don't want to be like the same soul, or it's just like, no, he needs to have his own experience. This is gross. No. Everybody has their own soul. Everyone is their own person. Everyone has free will. Every single human being. How else could individuation occur? How else could self and other, this dance, how else could it occur? But you get above that construct, and free will takes on different. It's not about I'm going to assert my will anymore. And I ended my last tape, not my will, but thine be done. And I really do feel like I saw during a really big activation period in 2016. I did some mirror work, and one night I was doing mirror work, and the mirror dissolved into this whiteboard that was alive. And I'd seen the energy before. There's like this white energy, and then there's this really dark, this black energy, and it wasn't good or bad. It just was like different colors on different screens. And but it's the white one that they got my attention. It just looks like sand. It looks like vibrating sand that was somehow up like that instead of down. It was up like that but vibrating, and then words started forming in it, and they saw I got to see a hand then holding a pen, and I laughed out loud, and they said, "You'll see how easy it becomes when you realize that you are the one writing the words." I'm not there yet. I'm often flummoxed, confused, in a state of discovery and wonder and awe. When I find myself slipping into drudgery or victimhood or I don't like this or resistance, then I stop and I realize that I'm missing something. I need that feeling. I need to breathe. And with the breath work has come great relief and grounding. You can call it grounding. You can call it, I think it's just being in my body. I sometimes just am shocked at how little I was in my body and how much I got done. Consider, and then I'll tell you, there's two things that happened this morning that just were like riveting, and then I'll end. All right, so this morning I woke up and I saw a claw, and it was more than 6 talons, and it was like a lattice work. So it was really like it was whatever was in there was not going to get out. It was metal, and what was in there was a pearl. And what happened to me as I saw that is I felt, I knew it was like, I know what it's like to be that pearl. And to be held in stasis and perpetual stillness that is steely and cold and unaffected by your feelings. And oh God, I felt it so down deep. What it's like to be imprisoned. Mm-hmm. What it's like to be in a situation that is immovable and all around you and impossible to break from. You know, you can talk about this sensation as being one of just realizing the collective mess we're in. Or thinking about, you know, light and dark, or thinking about your family, or thinking about your work buddies, or whatever. In my case, I've been healing multi-generational issues. And, you know, my great-grandma, well, she was the whole clan was calling out. But she was that pearl. And there's such exquisite pain in that whole motif of simply man's inhumanity to man. For those who haven't been following along, I don't blame you. My great-grandma, well, one was murdered. She was shot, I guess, while she was reading or something. I don't know. It was just a random thing, I guess. And one was imprisoned in her basement by her husband because she had had a stroke and she couldn't speak, and it was embarrassing. So you can imagine, just imagine. It wasn't a nice thing to do, and there weren't a lot of nice things that happened in that house. There wasn't a lot of, you know, gee, you're special, and I just love the way that you hold that pen, or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was tough. And so, you know, my issues with mutism and expression and my phobia of being in prison, oh my God, that phobia, holy moly. Just, that was the only phobia I ever had. Just, I could be having the best day in the world, and I just have this thought of, oh, I could be in prison right now, and boom, my whole world would just, I didn't do very well. So I was healing a lot. How do you heal something like that? How do you put that right? You feel it. And you release it. You understand the validity of that claw and of that pearl. And with feeling it, just the desperation and the endurance. Not for a great grandma, not for myself, for humanity. Something happened. Because the pearl, well, the pearl stayed the same, but the claw disintegrated. And then the pearl changed, and it was actually an orb. And they said it's plasma. And it went zipping around. It was off on another adventure. And it wasn't angry. It wasn't like, oh, I hate you, Claw. That was such a horrible experience, and I hurt a whole lot because of it, and so I, fuck you. It was like that at all. It was, oh, okay, I'm on to my next state of being. Whee! And off it went. And I've felt good ever since. I think that was on Thursday morning, and it's like, wow, wow. Is it as simple as just feeling it? But it wasn't just feeling it, it was being it. I don't know what made the claw disintegrate. The pearl didn't glow or transform. It stayed the same. And the claw just disintegrated. I've gone back a couple times today thinking, what happened to the bird? That big iron bird. And it's like, well, I don't even know if there was one. All I actually ever saw was the claw and the pearl. So then I'm in the shower, and I'm having this experience where I'm sticking my belly out is really far, just like breathing, like into my hip bones. It's like, and I realized, yeah, I haven't had my energy in my body consciously. Oh God, for a super, super, super long time, if at all. And I realized there had been an energetic block, and it was I've been working on that since 16. It's when it presented itself, and it presented itself as a galaxy, and it had been inserted, and it was not mine, and I wanted it out of there. And that's how this whole thing started. Seeing that galaxy spinning around in my pelvis, like, I don't want that in there. Who put that in there? And I've come to know that's the lower agreement field. That is the energy. And it wasn't so much inserted into my body, it's part of me. But it doesn't have to be an active part of me. And the disjointed nature of it, the chaotic nature of that energy, it had its own purpose and it had its own geometry, but it was not the geometry that's around here. And I've since understood what that was really about energetically, and what that's why. And I'm fine. It's released. It's gone. There are no thought forms or entities now that are not within this oversoul structure. And those that are wobbly or not at peace, the light is spreading. So I realize it as I do this. This is affecting the people around me, and it's energetically, and it's affecting the grid, and you get enough of us doing this, and it makes a big difference. And I fully recognize that this is something that I don't. The only time I talk about it like this is in my journal and on tape, or in writing. I cannot be this candid I saw today what happens. And it's same song, just different verse. And that is why the work has to change. And already has. So I think I've said a lot, and there's plenty for me to I don't know, winnow down, edit, give away, whatever. In the meantime, it's available if you're interested in that kind of thing. And it basically is just me already having gone through all these light activations and not understanding any of it, and wrestling with my ego, wrestling with the dark, wrestling with my own resistance, wrestling with the behaviors of others, the needs of others, just all of it. And to what end? Why do any of this if it's just gonna be a big pain in my ass all the time? There has to be a reason for it. And yeah, I know that's seeking moral desert, but a hurting human deserves a little moral desert. And it's important to do good things, even when it's hard. But the idea here is that if you're in the moment, if you're truly inhabiting the moment, what's hard about doing good? What could possibly be hard about that? Being in the moment. Yeah, I know. Ram Dass had a book about that. A couple people have had a book about that. Once again, it's like I'm kind of hanging out at the top of the mountain, and everything I say feels like a freaking Hallmark card that's already been said. Better to live it. And it's not going to really be appropriate for me to be telling the stories. It'll be appropriate for other people to be telling the stories. I'm really not wanting to tell many more stories. It's not these are not what's going to be happening next. They're not my stories to tell. And I get to just enjoy my life and walk around and do as I'm told and do as I see fit. And that's that. So it's really encompassing quite a lot. I've had a lot of done a lot of vision work the last 2 weeks. A lot of not dreaming. I don't dream anymore. I wake up and have my downloads and my mini revelations and stuff, or I get one word when I wake up, but it sets the tone, and I never fall out of. I feel like daily life is more of a dream than my dream time. And I know that all of it is purposeful. And I'm not quite as convinced now as before that I think I've released enough pain. I was carrying a tremendous amount of pain and grief and just lots of stuff that went unacknowledged because it had to be. And finally, I just decided it was time. So I'm real pleased with the work that it spawned. I think that it's appropriate to come to you with what I feel is appropriate to come to you with, which probably is going to have more to do with celestial triggers, esoterica, and stuff like that. And just like, hey, here's a starseed who wants to talk about whatever, like that. But as far as the work goes, yeah, I've let you guys know that light shows are real, that activations can happen when you least expect them, and you're always protected. You wouldn't be having an activation or a light show or a profound, big, huge spiritual experience and get hurt. What? Unless you've got you've got then if that's happening, then you need to take a peek at that. It's not necessary. That's how I'll end with this. That's how I kind of feel about NDEs. I think that we're going to, as a humanity, get to the place where we don't have to croak in order to touch the unified field. Isn't that the idea? That's what everybody talks about, this golden field where everything is happy and everyone is, you know that everything's made out of love and everything is okay. And it's just such a great feeling. It's such a great place to be. Well, if you can experience that when you die, you think that's the only time you can experience it? And, of course, there's some who say, yes, it's because neurochemicals that are being released from your dying brain. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We as a humanity don't believe that we can have revelations unless we die. Oh, once I go to heaven, everything's going to be fine. We put off speaking to our God until the very end of our lives. And if we do that while we're going along, my contention is you don't really have to have a termination of breathing and heart rate, although I certainly have had that happen a few times. There's no doubt that I've been like, clear, everybody, boom, and get, brought back. But death is an illusion. There's only living through light. And I think that maybe I finally explained it well enough to myself. I want to say I feel entirely blessed to have had a family that suffered, because I think that isn't the idea to as we live here to make things better for ourselves, for generations ahead of us. And imagine if we actually could affect the generations behind us too. Imagine if the pain that seems to just stay there and shriek. As the years go by, that node just doesn't get quieter. And if the whole body is populated with these nodes of pain, what do you do with that? Except light it up with love. And so the idea is to just live a life, to be at peace and be happy with what I'm doing at any given time, to not be in argument with anyone or anything. And I've been given gifts so that I can possibly make that happen more effectively. That's nice. This last consolidation with the Oversoul stuff, it came with, I don't even know who it was talking about twins or twin flames or whatever. I've never really liked all that stuff, knowing full well that that's what was going on the whole time. But the way that it was presented just blew my mind, because the speaker said, basically the twin flame situation is to let you know that you're on a soul path that has multiplicity at its heart. And it's not an easy thing. If you choose to have a twin here, everything they're going through, you're feeling, and everything that it's a symbiotic relationship, but it's an energetically symbiotic relationship. And it can be attended to or not, but it's still there. And the idea here is that if you're doing it with one person, you're doing it with a lot of people. And I know for me, I have one that is on every level. It's just Well, except one. Except the physical. But yeah, every level. It's like, oh my, I know you inside out. And yet you are you. And I am me. What? How can that be? I'm looking out of your eyes at me. And you're looking out of my eyes at you. What? Very, very beautiful and unusual experience. But then to realize, oh, because I had that 2 years ago, I was given a hint. And when I was, that evening, I channeled Sanat Kumara, and he's so funny. And he comes out and he said, yeah, well, we spooked her pretty good, but she handled it all right. So that was a shocker. That was a shocker. I think it was in 2015. It was 2014 or 2015 when I got the memo. I wasn't just me, and I wasn't just that one person I saw in Seattle who was a graphic designer and really happy with her life. I'm this other person. Oh my God, how many others am I? And that's the kind of thing you just don't talk about until you know what you're talking about. And now I know what I'm talking about. And as a result, I don't think I'm gonna be very mad at you anymore, because I don't like arguments. I don't like arguing with myself most of all. If you want to pick a fight, well then, see how far you get. I know you, but here's the thing: is just like, that's where the free will comes in. Of just like, yeah, I mean, believe me, tonight I got it that full force. I might have been everyone in the room I was in, but they were not on the page I was on, and they made that abundantly clear. It didn't matter. I wasn't there for them. But wow, it's like, woo. Let's not pretend that we're all in agreement here. That comes in the golden age when everyone has telepathy and they understand what I do. And you really cannot say I am another you and you are another me until you've figured out a few things about narcissism, empathy, energy exchanges, ego, consciousness levels. There's a few things you got to master first. And I no longer feel as if I need to apologize for having mastered this. It's just what I had to do for me to survive and to be whole. And if it helps you, awesome. And if you think it's a bunch of tripe, well, that's fine too. I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. But the truth is that what I do for me, I do for all. Is that narcissism? That's a simple energetic. In a group of violins or whatever, you can see this resonance test. The highest energetic holds the energetic for the group. And when we come together, not through our egos, but with vulnerability and relaxation, as a group we can merge into one and have a Merkabic experience as creatures. But this requires that people can get into that resonant state, and that is going to take some time. There's still a lot of shadows about, but the light definitely is getting brighter. So I feel so good in so many ways, and I wanted to pass it on. It's important to pass this stuff on, stitch it right into the grid, make it real, make it physical. So if I've let bombs go off in your brain, oh well, sorry about that. I'm glad you came along though. Thank you for pushing play. And if you're over there doing a little victory dance because you know that you're not alone anymore and there's someone just as super weird as you are, well, hi. I wondered when we were going to catch up with each other. And for those who think this is hogwash, hello. I totally understand. I get it. But I don't think it is. I think it's really, really wonderful. And I'm really happy to share it because it's helped me to walk straighter with a smile on my face. A little bit better nourished and hydrated. And without that freaking chip on my shoulder. That seems to have, like, I don't know. So, yeah. The eagle claw thing, that was pretty cool. All right. Oh, and then today, as Sammy was getting ready to do his thing and I was in my room, I forget and I went back and I couldn't remember the exact thought because sometimes when there's a cool thing, I'll see, okay, well, what was I thinking to trigger that? But I couldn't find the trigger this time. I just heard an eagle go caw caw a few times, and we do have a prairie dog colony right out there, and it does attract eagles just from time to time. I've only seen one, and then I heard of another. I heard another just recently, and then today, and it was a nice little addition, and that is, I guess, what I'm trying to get across is that it's those things that used to be like, I must rush to the video to document this unusual weirdness. Honey, baby, it ain't weird anymore. This is my daily bread. Of course an eagle would show up today. Of course. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? And there's a huge, huge creature in the cloud way far away. We were driving to Colorado Springs, and it was so far away, playing in this cloud, and I swear to God, it was as big as a man. It was a huge bird. I could see it make these lazy eights, and it's just like, how is it doing that? It's not natural. It's so big. So that was fun. I've been scanning the skies and seeing things that are weird more and more, which is very, it calms me. I don't feel as alone when I see things in the sky. When the clouds talk to me is nice too, but I usually have to conjure a relationship with the cloud to get it to, bust or morph or do whatever. I like it when beings and entities and things like that just show up. And that's what's been happening, and that's what I prefer. It's less work. I'm a lazy mystic. All right, so that's all I have to say. I hope I blew your mind. I kind of blew mine. Whew. 10, 5, 12. Oh, 10, 5, 18. To me, it's a 12 year. That's a nice day. One that I'll have to put in my personal history as a big one. Right, now I get to, it's raining, so I'm going to go put on my fuzzy socks and eat foodstuffs and enjoy my quiet time because Sammy's gone. That doesn't happen often. I hope you're doing well. Namaste.